when you look at an event like yesterday, the question wasn't about how do we protect IONNA, it was how do we protect the drivers? Because what I don't want to ever have happen is someone shows up to a site that can't get charged, right? These are people's moms, dads, grandparents, kids, etc.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Bits episode. You guys join me with Seth Cutler, who's the CEO of IONNA, and my colleague Walter, who has all of our DC fast charging coverage here on this channel. And the reason I've gathered us all together is because yesterday I saw a few social media posts from IONNA saying, hey, we had an issue with a credit card terminal. Here's all the other ways that you can activate a charging session. And from my perspective, it seemed like the first widespread blip in terms of IONNA suffering some sort of a issue. And I think it's a really cool opportunity where we could call up Seth and say, hey, tell us about that specific issue. How did that go? But also it kind of sets the stage for learning about how IONNA will handle the customer experience when issues arise. Of course, with thousands of charging ports and many locations, things will happen. And what we want to learn in this episode is how will drivers know and what will the response time look like? So Seth, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yesterday? Because I didn't follow it super closely, but I saw credit card reader issues. What actually happened?
Yeah, so we had, you kind of hit the nail on the head when you first opened it up, right? Things are going to happen. And today we're a real network across the country. You know, we've got over 900 bays live to customers. There's hundreds more that are in construction waiting for either transformers to drop or energy to hit, which are, days away, imminent. And so we had our credit card terminal had a back-end service, a microservice that went out at about, I think, 11:30 a.m. or 12 p.m. yesterday. The team was on it within minutes. And so what we weren't sure how widespread it was or how fast we'd be able to go resolve it. And so, we've talked before about this IONNA speed biasing towards action. It's not just about how we deploy sites or sign sites. It's also how we operate sites. And so we made a quick determination of let's go communicate to the public. Let's not wait until we resolve it. Let's just tell people we've got a problem and then we'll figure out what to do from there. I think we had the issue resolved by about 4 o'clock that same day. So about 4 hours of outage on the readers. And what we had actually found out as well, it wasn't 100% of the readers. It was about 30% of the readers affected. So we went out, notified customers, let them know that the beauty of what we set up in our platform is we're not just one payment method, right? We told everybody, hey, PNC works across the half a dozen plus OEMs. Your apps will work, and we have a call center to do pay by phone. So we weren't down, but we were impaired, and we made sure customers are aware of that.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of an interesting topic because we've seen other networks when credit card readers go down default to free vend in certain situations. Is that sort of a worst case scenario at IONNA to go free vend and sort of hope to rely on all the other payment activations? Because while plug and charge is the easiest way to activate charging and something everyone should set up, oftentimes you're borrowing a car, you might be in a rental EV, you just want to tap the card and go, which I think is commendable that you guys went with the credit card reader route. What is that fallback plan? Is it to just call in, or will we see a free vend if things really go down?
Yeah, look, we've developed a lot of business continuity plans and disaster recoveries for the worst, right? A lot of the first year in parallel to building the company and getting sites live was to understand how do we make sure that we can maintain reliability and uptime to our customers. So we've got a lot of things in the works where if things were to go really sideways on us, we can maintain service to our customers. But yesterday was really an impairment, not a network-wide outage. And because of how we've architected our platform, we still had a way to serve our customers with really minimal impact. And we saw that, with the social media responses, we monitor PlugShare, Google reviews, X, every platform, and there was not a single negative comment that came out on PlugShare as a result of the outage, because at the end of the day, no customer was stranded, and that's really what matters. So, we'll look at every instance that happens, and things are going to happen. I think that's kind of the big thing. It's not will things happen? It's how you handle situations. We'll look at every instance on a case-by-case basis and respond accordingly as they arise.
Yeah, and I want to really commend your social media presence during that, because I think the one thing that we've seen from IONNA, especially from you with your directive, is like total transparency. And that is so welcome in the charging space. And as a customer, I go to IONNA stations all the time. I'm like, oh, okay, now I know what to expect when I get there. How did that all happen internally, and how quickly were you able to get the social media posts out? And do you even have someone who handles those emergency social posts specifically?
Yeah, the half funny story was, I think I was coming back from lunch, walking the door, and I was accosted by our head of operations and by Catherine, our head of comms, of, hey, we've got a problem. So sandwich went down, and we have what we call our war room. Everyone jumped in a conference room of what's going on, and I think 15 minutes after we said, hey, we've got a problem, it was, okay, we need to start talking about it. So that's when we go online and start addressing those issues. We've very much have built our operations team to not just maintain chargers, but also how we work with customers. So we've got a call center that we've insourced over the last several months, and we have in-house people inside the building as well that are talking with drivers. So we also had we increased our capacity in our call center with our folks yesterday. And those same team members are also the ones that are responding on social on a regular basis. Yesterday's event, because of the kind of the nature of it, that's where our comms teams comes in and takes over. But again, we've built a lot of what we do is around operational rigor and discipline in order to make sure you can scale and deliver that same level of attention to customers over time.
Walter, I know you've joined us as well, and I'd love to give you an opportunity to chime in. Sorry for hogging Seth's time. So here, the floor is yours.
Yeah, two things. And first thing, Mr. Cutler, much appreciated for the fantastic birthday party a couple weeks ago. That was a ton of fun. You guys throw some of the best parties, and this was a nationwide one. Had a ton of fun with friends and EV community at large out there. But congratulations on navigating your way through this, because I've definitely been in some of those situations in technology where things go sideways. And the question is, do we communicate or do we not communicate? And oftentimes the instinct is to let things fly under the radar, see if we can get by this thing without getting too much blowback. But you did the upfront and communicate more sort of approach, instead of trying to brush things under the rug and cover up and fly under the radar. So the approach that IONNA took, I think, is unparalleled in the industry. I don't know any other CPOs who would have reacted in that way. So definitely kudos for that. And when I saw it, my first reaction was, someone didn't update a cert or something. But a microservice, those things are definitely problematic on occasion, and things will go down, as Kyle said. And really, it's the question about how the operation responds to it. I would commend you for the response to yesterday's situation. I didn't know it was only 30% of the payment terminals. And as you say, there were multiple other payment options available. So the overall impact was, a degraded service, but not a service outage, is the way that I think is a fair characterization of what took place. But yeah, the resiliency of the network, I think that's really what IONNA has been key in, not only the back-end systems, but the whole fact that when you go to an IONNA station, it's not 2 chargers, it's not 4 chargers, it's, multiple chargers spread out there. And I think that's really what we need as we approach EV charging juggernauts, where the number of vehicles in operation are in excess of the chargers on the road. So I don't know. I think there's a broader discussion here about the approach that IONNA takes to solving the reliability issue, which was one of the main things I understand from its inception you were chartered to do, is the reliability of electric vehicle charging. And, we have a microservice that goes sideways and it's reacted to well, but I think it's a more culture thing that is more prevalent in IONNA than in other CPOs. So I don't know if you could talk to that as well.
Oh, it's a great point. Like what we're doing is not new to the industry to build out a national network by any means, right? And we know that. I think we were definitely chartered to build quality at scale. We're 2 years into this thing. We tell people we had a multi-year wave strategy, is what we call it. Wave 0, as we tell people, is really building the company. I started in February as employee 1, and so had to get from February to end of the year with not just the first sites built, but launch a headquarters, build an office, hire people. And get the product where it needs to be. And we did that with our Apex site. Last year was really around delivering the skeletal structure. And we did that with, over 800 bays live to customers. Another, 50 plus bays are energized that we just couldn't get turned on in time with inspections and other things that happened with the winter. And today we're 96 sites live, and site 97 should be live. I'm looking around to see if the gong got hit yet, but 97 should be live in Hollywood, Florida, today, and we're marching towards that 100 site. A couple weeks delay with winter. So the scale's there. Now really what we have to do is make sure we maintain the quality. And I think, to your point, a lot of that goes into how we've built the company, not just in the operations piece, but the cultural piece. And we've got these cultural tenets that we instill into how we run the organization and it's inherent in our DNA. And it starts with safety and compliance is number one. We have to make sure we always have a safe environment. We're working on construction sites on a regular basis. We're charging cars with high power. We have to make sure we're safe. The second one is driver first. Every decision we make is with the driver in the center of that decision. And so when you look at an event like yesterday, the question wasn't about how do we protect IONNA, it was how do we protect drivers? Because what I don't want ever have happen is someone shows up to a site that can't get charged, right? These are people's moms, dads, grandparents, kids, etc. We have to take care of drivers. And then the third one is IONNA Speed, which is this bias towards action to really drive the right results and behavior and actions for the company and for drivers. So a lot of what you see isn't just inherent in the people we've hired, the org that we've built, and the work that goes into the everyday operation of the organization.
Seth, that's awesome to hear. And I think we really have experienced that, especially yesterday. I was just blown away by the response and, sort of steered clear until today to be like, all right, let's let things settle down before we have you on. Can you talk to us a little bit about vertical integration? I know that this is sort of an outside service that may have gone down. Is there a push to bring as much as possible under the IONNA umbrella to protect yourself from those situations?
No, it's a great question. And the short answer is yes. I mean, the long answer is I'd love to have you come down, Kyle, and show you more of this in person, right? Because what we've done is we built a lot of alerting ourselves. So we're able to pull in this information from our credit card reader, from our back end, from the charging manufacturers, stuff from the vehicles as well, so that we get early alerting of what's happening. We're not going to catch everything. There's times where someone reports something on PlugShare of a broken connector, a broken handle. We didn't know. So okay, thanks for letting us know. Put the charger in maintenance, roll a truck. But yesterday we knew about it as it was happening because we have alerts coming in and a diagnostic platform that we built ourselves that alerts the teams and allows us to action it appropriately.
And actually, it's a good point on that connector issue, because a lot of times if the connector breaks, unless it gets plugged into a car, you would never know. I mean,
Correct.
You could see like, okay, someone's not using that side as often and maybe infer that something could be wrong. But to that point, our buddy Alejandro, who Walter, I think you just did a video with, it'll be coming up. It'll come tomorrow, I believe, on this channel. He's a huge DC fast charging enthusiast and posted about this on social media. And literally a day later, 2 days later, there's a brand new connector on there and fixed, which is amazing. I just saw the notification that you guys had fixed that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, again, that goes back to just how we run the organization. And then, the other thing that we do as well, that we're turning the knob on more this year, is we do what we call proactive health checks. So we're, if you look at the way most companies are running maintenance, they'll be very reactive to, there's an issue, we'll roll a truck. Obviously, companies are also doing preventative maintenance checks as well, once a year, sometimes even twice a year. We're doing a kind of a drive-by health check on a monthly basis, particularly on our high utilization sites, where we go to the site, make sure everything is in good order and operation. And because we have trash cans at every one of our site, right? Again, going back to not just the charging, but the overall experience, we're trying to have people at these locations as much as possible, efficiently as possible, to be able to give us early warning indicators where we don't have a node or an alerting system, right? If a screen goes down on the charging station, we may not know until we see someone on site to tell us that. And we're trying to, at the end of the day, what we want to know is there's something wrong before the customer knows, because I want to make sure a customer shows up and they forget about the charging and they're more worried about the experience at the location.
Totally agree. And just I guess the last topic to leave on, which is, I think this was a really cool indication into sort of your disaster planning, which is if something happens, how do you alert the customers? Maybe you can just share a little broad overview of, what as EV drivers can we expect to hear from you guys when problems happen? Where should we hear about them? Because there's no specific IONNA app. And, as drivers, where should we be looking?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think some of the stuff we're still maturing and building out, but for sure, social, we have different comms channels. Social is one of them. Our website is getting some updates right now that we'll be able to broadcast out from our website. We don't have an app, but we do have an app because we have 8 OEM partners. We have ChargePoint, we have PlugShare. So we're very much working to increase the integration for that. You'll see more stuff this year as we deepen those integrations with our vehicle investors, vehicle partners. And so what we're trying to do is constantly find ways to increase the channels to market, to how we talk with customers. And I think a lot of what you guys do as well, right? We're trying to do a lot more with influencers, and you, Kyle, and Walter, and others, because I think that second year anniversary celebration, which sometimes feels like 10 years that I've been here. When you move out of IONNA Speed, we joke you also age at IONNA time. But those channels also help us get the word of mouth out to drivers in a bigger way. So I think you're going to see more of us really engaging with the community in new ways, so people know what's going on with our network.
That is music to my ears. Walter, any final thoughts for Seth?
No, I would say that if you're feeling as though the situation was an opportunity for criticism, I would actually flip it and say this is an opportunity for praise, because a credit card reader going down on a electric vehicle charging station has kind of been par for the course, and it being down for weeks, months. And in IONNA's situation, it was communicated promptly and fixed very rapidly. So this is actually a reason for success, in my personal opinion. And technology is what it is. You get public cloud infrastructure going down, or who knows what with the cellular network or something. Things are going to happen, and really the question is how it gets reacted to. And in my personal opinion, the demonstration of what occurred yesterday was very positive.
I appreciate that, and we're always striving to do better. So I appreciate the praise, but obviously we'll do an after action review afterwards on our side and see what else we can do to turn the knob and perform even better, and try to make sure things don't happen. But to your point, things will, and it's how you respond to them when they do happen.
Seth, always great to see you. Thanks for coming on and sharing, some time with us. I think, if anything, just gives us a little bit more insight as to how you guys will handle these situations. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Walter, for joining as always. And thank you guys at home for watching. We'll see you all on another one again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.